Welcome to Rome Howell, an ongoing conversation around a more authentic and intuitive way of pursuing marketing strategy and small business success, where we dig into the trends and new ways of thinking that are taking hold in the entrepreneurial and digital marketing space and explore what it means to embrace technology and do business in the 21st century. I'm your host, Jennifer Gartner, writer, speaker, lawyer, hardworking, lazy person who loves technology, the adventure of doing all the things and making money along the way. My passion is supporting you in creating powerful, magnetic marketing content that attracts new clients and customers and building the systems you need to automate your business growth. The world is changing. How we develop our small business is changing, and how we connect with our clients and customers is changing. There's a new paradigm of branding and marketing, one where you drop the pretense, show up fully and honestly as you so that you connect deeply with those you are here to serve, so that your work feels like a natural expression of your passion, your purpose, your creativity, and your multi-dimensional self. And your marketing plan reflects that, where we move away from outmoded ways of marketing that feel manipulative and are fear and scarcity based, and towards a more ethical and intuitive way of growing our businesses, one that honors you and your clients, and that's a divine expression of who you are and the work you are here to do in the world. I'm going to share actionable tips and tools and strategies that are working right now that you can use to grow your business with greater ease and greater impact, and the mindset techniques I use to stay creative and visible without burning myself out. Because today's marketing requires us to show up and share ourselves in ways that we've never been called upon to do before. There's an inner muscle or skill set that we need to develop to fully take advantage of all the technologies. So I'll be exploring ways to develop and strengthen that part of yourself so that you can take maximum advantage of everything that's out there to help you grow. I'm also going to have conversations with guests who are online creators and trailblazers and business owners about how they do it, how they are creating businesses they love and extraordinary lives. Join me on my journey as I run multiple businesses and go down all the rabbit holes of the shiny, seductive world of online business land, bust the myths wide open, and show you an evolved and ethical, heartfelt, no BS, and sustainable approach to content creation and marketing online. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the most recent episode of Rome Howell. I probably sound a little different to you, and if I do, that's because I don't have access to my professional, very fancy podcasting microphone. I'm basically recording this on my phone, and the reason for that is I left my microphone when I went on a little getaway because I was so busy rushing to pack and get everything handled, and I forgot the microphone. But anyway, on today's show, I'm basically taking a very recent interview or conversation, I should say, it's not really an interview, between Sagan Morrow and myself. Sagan and I, for the last a little bit over a year, almost every Monday, we have been live streaming. We created a show called the Creative Marketing for Non-Creatives Live Stream Show. And we basically have conversations concerning creativity. And we hope to enlighten our listeners with how they can be more creative when it comes to marketing their businesses and showing up online, using email, video, and social media, and doing other forms of expression that are gratifying. So we have these really deep conversations, and they're very unscripted, very spontaneous, totally unplanned. And this is something that we've been doing now for, like I said, over a year. So in this recent episode, Sagan and I are talking about what drives us to create in the first place and what we personally experience when we know that our work has touched or inspired another person. And
I want to cut straight to the conversation because I think that it's really a waste of time for me to sum it up. I think we really need to just like dive right in and let you listen to the conversation because there's some really good, juicy, unscripted, very deep personal revelations that we have during our talk. So here you go. Here is my conversation with Sagan Morrow, all about what drives us to be creative.
Okay. I think we are live.
I think we're live. Hello,
Okay.
everybody, and welcome. Are you
Yes,
checking? We're live?
it's
Awesome.
all
Yeah.
good. It's
Oh,
working.
good. Good. Welcome, everybody, to the Creative Marketing for Non-Creatives live stream show. It's our business therapy session that we share with the world here with me, Jennifer B. Gardner, Sagan Morrow, basically showing you, the business owner, the professional, what you can do to stay creative and muster all of the courage and the mindset support it requires to be visible and productive and out there so that you can get business online. How are you today, Sagan?
I am doing well.
Good.
Yeah. I'm on my last day of work today, and then tomorrow is our week off. So,
Yeah.
yeah, just wrapping everything up before I start my usual days off.
Nice.
Yeah. How are
Nice.
you doing, Jennifer?
Well, Jennifer's a little frazzled, but I'm okay. I'm okay. Just busy
Yeah.
doing all the things. I'm, as I shared before, I'm starting the Up Again, the Rome Howell podcast. So now I have on top of all the other things, the additional layer of podcast episodes and administration and all of that and production. And so that's how I began my day, which is fine. It makes me very happy to be doing that project, but it's just another layer. It's another thing to put on my list. But I'm good. I'm good. But mostly I'm excited to get started for our conversation today. And I'm going to read it from my phone because that's where I came up with this idea for today's episode. And you agreed. Where is it? Let's see. Oh, okay. So this is what we're talking about today. What drives you to create? And I want to ask you, Sagan, is it a need to be seen a certain way by others?
I feel like if it was a need to be seen by others, I would not create the types of things that I create, to be honest. Um, yeah, I definitely feel as though a lot of the things that I create, there's some uh, discomfort or uncertainty around how they're actually going to be accepted by other people, right? That's like one of the big things around. I feel like a lot of the different types of content I create, and maybe that's because of the fact that like the way that I teach about productivity around energy management is a very non-traditional way to teach productivity. With my romance novels, right? They're, for one thing, they're romance novels, and for another thing, they're about different alternative relationship styles and what people are used to. So a lot of the different types of content in that way, I feel as though they aren't, if I was trying to do it for the sake of being seen in a certain way by other people, then I wouldn't do this because it puts me in a very vulnerable position. I really feel like what drives me to create is that there is something inside me that is just like begging to come out. It needs to come out. And while, for many years I would create something and then I would just sort of keep it for myself and I would think, oh, maybe, I'll maybe share this down the line, or this isn't good enough to share with other people, or other people won't want this. What I really consider nowadays is, no, this is important. If I felt the drive to create this, then, and this was valuable to me, it's going to be of value to another person.
Mm.
And it's really, really interesting because I find that the more that I create and the more that I share what I've created, the more that I hear from people saying, thank you for this. I needed this. I didn't know that other people also felt this way. And all of this type of thing. So it's really magical when we can sort of tap into that, I think.
Oh, for sure. That's really beautiful that you get that kind of feedback. I have really been looking at the content that I'm creating as creating an environment or an ecosystem or a place where people can come to receive a certain kind of nourishment, you know?
Ooh, I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Like something that's going to feed their soul or inspire them or educate them or even entertain them in a certain way, even if just for a second. And I received some comments on one of my video stories for Instagram. I made a reel and I received a comment which was, "Thank you. I really needed to hear that today." And I was so touched that it, you know, that someone else was inspired or just felt. And then they wrote, I said, "Oh, well, thank you for that comment. That's really beautiful." And then they said, I need to get out of my room. I need to get out of the house. And you just reminded me that there's life beyond this." And it was like, wow, that's really that I liked that. I was inspired by that comment. That's exactly what I want to create, that kind of a good feeling.
Yes. Oh, I love that. And I think like it that really goes back into something else where, oftentimes when we see other people creating online, we might think, oh, they have X number of followers, or they probably get messages all the time. I won't bother messaging them. I won't bother telling them that this was really helpful to me. But it makes such a huge difference. Like it is so, so powerful. And I don't think that it really gets to that point where, people don't appreciate it unless maybe they have like millions of followers and they can't keep track of their own messages because they get so many of them. But like the vast majority of people that we are following really, really appreciate and notice
Yeah.
those types of messages. They make a difference. Like those types of messages always make my day. Like
Yeah.
it's really, really lovely.
Yeah. Like, for example, I really love the pictures of the lake outside your house,
Yeah.
that you show every day. I'm grateful for that. I
And
once
I
I'm
was gonna
sorry?
say I'm grateful for the videos of your horse.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's like something different to look
Yeah.
at, something refreshing, something that will, I guess, trigger an emotional response that's unique in the viewer.
Yeah.
And if they like it, they keep coming back. I mean, when
Yeah.
I run into people for years now, they always want to know how my horse is, and they always want to tell me how they love the videos of my horse.
Yeah.
Did you see the one of him watching me with my flat tire
Oh,
standing
I
at the
don't know if
gate?
I saw that
Oh,
one yet.
that's the new one. Yeah. I mean, he and
Wait,
my dog were just like sitting like this. My dog's this big, my horse is this big, like comparatively, standing there just like fixated on me the whole time.
oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice to be watched, I guess. But
Yeah.
there's some people who might look at what we're doing and who don't have a professional marketing background or really understand, like, why would somebody want to live stream every week? Or why would someone want a podcast? Or why would someone want to write or share something about themselves that's personal on social media? What would you say to one of those people who had that kind of either criticism or just a lack of understanding about why we do this? What would you say?
I would say that there is so much value in understanding where we are at in the world and where other people are at. And there's always, always so much that we can learn from one another. And the more that we share about what we are going through and our own experiences, the more that I think it gives the space for other people to realize, to learn something, to understand something new, and to also recognize where they fit into things and to give more people permission to do a particular thing. So I think that there's a lot of different um, opportunities for connection, right? The more that we do this type of thing, the more that people watching, right? If you're watching this live stream or if you're listening to one of our podcast episodes or whatever it might happen to be, when you can resonate with something that we are saying or something that other people are saying, there's this really beautiful moment when we can connect with that and we can sort of internalize it and realize, oh, if you're doing that, I can do this too. It's okay for me to do this too. And I don't need to, have X number of dollars or X amount of time or whatever it happens to be able to do this. It's possible. It's very doable, right? So I think that there's a lot of different opportunities in all of that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think also that if you're a business owner and you're looking to have some kind of a presence online that will lead to more business, we also need to look at the fact that everything we say, everything we write, the success of our business will depend on how skillfully we say or write it. And when I say skillfully, that's kind of a very nuanced. Like there's very many layers to what is skill. Like there's, copywriting skill, there's sharing a story or something inspirational skill. There's understanding all the different types of content that you can share in order to engage with an audience. I mean, basically what online influencers are doing is they're trying to attract an audience. And in some cases, they're trying to disrupt what it is you're looking at over there, like say, hey, look at me over here, come over here, pay attention to me, and then attract that person to then engage with them and then buy their stuff.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's a way of networking and getting business, bottom line. And I think that people who dismiss content creators and influencers as being people who just want to be seen don't understand that there's a lot to putting content out there. There's a lot more to it than meets the eye. Let's just put it that way.
Yes. And also, building on that, I would say there is nothing wrong with wanting to be seen. There is nothing wrong with wanting to be acknowledged, right? And I think that too often, you're absolutely right. People automatically jump to, oh, they just, want to be seen or acknowledged. Isn't that what everyone wants, right? Isn't that what we all want as human beings? We want to be seen. We want to be heard. We want to be acknowledged. We don't want to live our entire lives without anyone ever noticing us, right? So I think that there can be a lot of that sort of opportunity as content creators to sort of, again, give ourselves that permission, right? That it's okay to want to be seen and to want to share our voice and for our voices to be heard, especially because everyone has a story. Everyone's voice truly matters and everyone has something different to contribute. So there's not ever going to be this moment when it's like, oh, I don't have anything that I can possibly contribute. Like, no, there's always something that watching this right now, that you can contribute to the world.
Yes. We all have something to contribute. And the technology sort of democratizes our access to a mass audience, which
Yeah.
is something to appreciate and also to respect because we have tremendous power. And with that power comes responsibility. I mean, I could spend $1,000 on Facebook ads running traffic to look at this content if I wanted to. And we'd probably have thousands and thousands of people who Facebook would show the content to and who would then see us, right? I mean, we really do. We're not going to do that in this. We're not going to do this in that way. But that is one reason for why someone might want to create this kind of content. And it's also an illustration of how powerful and what the potential is when you create this kind of content.
Yes, absolutely. And the more that we do this type of thing, right, and share content, especially using the different mediums that are available to us, the more that we can help more people, right? Because that's also what it's really about. Once we understand something, once we learn something, once we know that we have a story to share, a particular message to share, how can we get that out there? And how can we make sure that we are helping people? And what avenues can we take to get those messages across in the most enjoyable ways, in the most accessible ways, in the best ways for people to truly comprehend what we're trying to say?
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess the question came up for me because I did have someone say to me in somewhat of a derogatory way, oh, you just want to be seen. And I was like, that made me think. And first I was triggered and I thought, why am I triggered?
And like you said, I don't think there's anything wrong with being seen. And then I thought, no, I'm not doing this just to be seen. I'm doing this because I have a message on my heart that I feel like I want to share and I want to educate and I want to
Yeah.
inspire other people to do this because I know with the increased visibility, what that's done for me in my businesses and in my life. In my life. Because
Yeah.
you can have an idea for creative self-expression in your head. And until you get it out, you're not going to go to the next idea, most likely. Or if you just have a habit of starting and stopping and never finishing projects, where are you going to be? And I don't care if you're an artist, and as we know, I'm a big believer that everybody is an artist. I don't really care like what level you're doing the expressing in. I think that you at the end of the day, unless you really don't care, you want to have something to show for it. And until you put it out there and you touch other lives, other humans with it, you're not really getting the full benefit of the process of the creation. And for years, I'm the kind of person who would make the photographs and put them under my bed. I have them stacked in my closet, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rolls. I know what it's like to not show your work. But
Yeah.
really, when you start showing your work is when you make the most amount of progress. So when this person said to me, well, you just want to be seen. And I thought, well, that's just part of the story. And then I thought, this is an intelligent person and they just don't understand. They really want to understand how to promote themselves online using these platforms. Like they're super curious about it, but they really don't understand what's involved. Yeah, you can push a button and anyone can go live, but understanding how all of the pieces of the digital pie fit together and work together so that you can get the maximum benefit economically and as far as your audience reaching the widest possible audience, that takes a little bit of skill and expertise.
Yes. And reaching the right audience.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It completely takes skill and expertise, and it takes courage
Yeah.
to show yourself to the world, to show up
Yeah.
raw and vulnerable,
Yeah.
right? Like there's definitely courage in that. And again, I truly believe that a fundamental part of being human is wanting to be seen, is wanting to be acknowledged and heard. And the other thing that I would also say around, this whole concept of creating something and then, shoving it under the bed and just keeping it for ourselves. If we, if we create something, if one person creates one thing and, you create this thing and you like it does something for you, then probably by putting it out there and sharing it with other people, at least one other person out there will also benefit from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like there's so many benefits from sharing our creativity, and really by holding it in, by not sharing with the world whatever type of creativity or art or anything like that it might be. When we don't do that, it's almost it's almost selfish, right? Because someone out
Yes.
there could really benefit from it and they might
Yeah.
really, really want it. And we
Yeah.
aren't even giving them the opportunity to access it.
True. And I just want to say to you, I want to acknowledge you because I think you're very, very courageous with how you share who you are and also very, very clever with how you've managed to incorporate that into your brand values, right? Make your own rules, right? I mean, because really to say I'm polyamorous and I write books about it and I teach people how to break the rules even in their businesses. That's very bold. I
Thank
just want to
you.
acknowledge you for saying that. And I mean that in a good way, bold in a good way.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's one of the things that attracted me to you was like, I thought, wow,
Mhm.
here's this woman who's really owning all of who she is in this very fundamental sort of taboo to speak about non-dinner table conversation part of herself in most circles, right? I mean, I guess there's some
Yeah.
people who are like, they're talking about these kinds of issues all the time. But I thought, you know what? The fact that you're like right out there with who you are and that your sexuality is sort of front and center of your business brand and your creative expression, like kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I doubt many people have the courage to express that. I mean, or we'd be seeing it everywhere. It would be commonplace and it's not. It's really special.
Yeah. And I think too, like when we want to express something about ourselves that maybe is a little bit outside of the box or a little bit different from what we're used to, we can also do it in stages, right? I think like, if you're watching this right now and you're like, oh God, like that just sounds terrifying, right? Like it doesn't need to be this huge leap all at once, right? We can always share like one little piece and get comfortable with that one piece and then add another piece, right? Like it can be this ongoing journey of deciding how much do I want to share and what's of value to people, right? Because like it's so interesting when we're sort of choosing what to share in terms of why am I sharing this? What value does this have? Does this bring to the world or to my people? Then we can kind of look at, okay, if I experiment with this, how does this feel? Does this feel safe for me to do this? Does this feel okay? Does this feel like I'm, uncomfortable because I'm stepping outside my comfort zone, but it still feels good, right? Like there's a lot of value in asking all these questions as
Yeah.
we're going through this sort of process, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally. I have a visitor, as you can see. Somebody just walked in the room. And he's talking to me now, even though we're live streaming. This is a really good time for us to take a break and conclude for this week's episode. But yeah, it's a really interesting topic. There's more things that I want to say about it. I have more thoughts on my mind about it, but I feel like it's too much to unpack in one session. So I reserve the
Yeah.
right to come back and ask you more questions and talk about
Yeah.
my own experience of what I share, what I don't share. I do want to say though that I feel that the more that we express ideas that are somewhat taboo, the more we talk about the unseen, the non dinner table conversation, the more honest we are about owning not just our good qualities, but also our flaws, the more magnetic we become because we give other people
Mm,
permission
yeah.
to embrace those parts of themselves. And that, is, you can't have one without the other, right? You can't have polyamory without monogamy. You can't have darkness without light. You can't have good without bad, right? So this is like a huge conversation. I know I'm just scratching the surface here, but we will, I'm sure we'll talk about it more in future episodes. But for now, I think we're going to conclude on this happy note.
I love it. Okay. Yeah. We will definitely pick this up probably
Yeah.
next week.
Probably. Okay, I am going to end the broadcast. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We usually leave in the comments below a way that you can reach out to us. Sagan is on Instagram at Sagan Lives. I am Jennifer B. Gardner. You can always DM us, follow us to see what kind of content we're talking about, like get a real feel for it. I mean, Instagram is, I think, for both of us, the platform
Yeah.
of choice. And yes, and we're here every Monday. We will leave resources down below in the comments, and you can always like DM us. You can find us and then show up every Monday at 2 p.m. Pacific time, which is 5 p.m. Eastern time for this show. So thank you. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you liked what you just heard, I'd really appreciate it if you would go on to Apple Podcasts and leave a review and rate the podcast. When you do this, it helps make sure that other people who might benefit from this message will find the podcast and hear it. Also, feel free to tell a friend, share it with someone who may also need to hear this message. And you can also follow me on Instagram at I am Jennifer B. Gardner. Feel free to connect with me there. You can always send me a DM if you have a question or you'd like to chat. And if you're looking for information on how to automate how you can get leads for your business and you're feeling sort of overwhelmed by the whole online marketing thing, go to romehowell.com/my strategy and download a free resource I created that will show you my strategy for growing your business using a very simple approach involving email, video, social media, and a simple automated sales funnel. I'll drop the link in the show notes, but you can go to www.romehowell.com/my strategy. I will see you next week. Take care.